the green light in the sewer. I mean, it's, wow, it's great. Okay, welcome. I'd like to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. The first item we have is request for council action. 23-231 budget amendments. 23-232 amend salaries and benefits code 3105, addition of second full-time law secretary. 23-233 amend SPD 1 development guidelines South Court Village. 23-234 approval of Medina Rec sponsorship banner, and 23-235 state capital grant project request. The next item we have is budget, 23-231 budget amendments. We have, let's see here, 23-60. Let's see, what is this one? Lori?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. These are budget adjustments. There's a mix of couple different things. Some are cleaning up negatives for year end, and a couple are for the new workout room, to get the money in place for those.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 2023-061, a COVID grant award. Lori?
This one is a grant that the police department received that was from the CARES Act COVID money. So this is just to appropriate the funds that they received.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 23-232, amend salaries and benefits code 3105, addition of second full-time law secretary. Mr. Huber.
We currently have a full-time secretary and a part-time secretary. The part-time secretary works 3 hours or 3 days a week. And we're chronically behind with the passage in the last year of Marcy's Law. We're required to send out a notice to each victim on the cases that qualify for Marcy's Law, which is frankly most of the cases we handle. And after sending out the notice, we then have to send out notices of hearings each time there's a hearing set. And this has hit our office pretty hard. We're behind in most of that paperwork. I need a secretary at least 4 days a week. Our part-time secretary is Kim Walters. She's been with us for a long time and has been steady for the last 5 years, but I anticipate that she may retire again next year, and we just need greater stability with all the paperwork. I guess Laureen wrote up the request to the council. I think she mentioned we keep getting more and more body camera evidence from all the officers, and we're required to get the body camera footage, download it, and then send out this footage to the attorneys representing defendants, or defendants if they request it. And so that's the other reality that has taken up more and more time in our office. So that's basically the reason for the request. I've been talking about probably needing to do this in the last couple of years, so hopefully this is okay.
Mayor?
I would just add, I added the emergency clause to this because we would like it to take effect January 1st of 2026. And then just as a refresher, probably 2 years ago during the budget process, we included the second full-time in the budget, but we didn't change the salary and benefits code, and Greg was continuing to see how long we could get by with the one full-time and actually two part-time. We were using a second clerk at least 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days a week, depending on the workload. But for all the reasons Greg stated, the time has come, so now we do need both full-time.
So I guess I'm a little confused. Are we getting, so we'll have two full-time and we're getting rid of the two part-time?
Yes.
That's correct. I won't need the two part-time. I'll probably keep a position or not abolish it at this point, but
Oh, okay, because I guess that's the question I had. I didn't know if we're going to add one, are we taking the 2 part-time off, or are we leaving them on the books still?
I have a question. Do you think maybe you could leave one on the books for vacation or sick time? If they could fill in, or
You mean for a part-time?
part-time, yeah.
Yeah, probably leave one on the books,
Okay.
but I don't know who that would be yet. I don't have anybody in mind. I'd just like to get some greater stability with respect to all the paper we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So what we're going to do, what I understand we're doing is we're adding a full-time position, getting one part-time position, and keeping the other part-time position on there just in case a fill-in has to happen if somebody goes on vacation or gets sick, or God forbid, both get sick at the same time.
Right.
To try to do that. Now, the only other question I have to add, and I don't remember, your budget is pretty tight. I don't know what this means for your budget for 2024 going forward.
It was budgeted
With-
for the last year
For-
or two.
for the
and
full
we
time.
didn't fill it.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
So 2024 will be fine.
okay.
If you wanted to do away with us for a month or so, we'd all agree.
No, we like you guys, I guess, to a certain extent. You're required to do certain things that we can't do. Okay, and as the mayor mentioned, it comes to be effective on 1/1/24. Any questions on that, Paul?
Yes, thank you. Are we compensated by the other municipalities for any of the work that we're required to do?
We receive roughly $90,000 to $100,000 from the county for all the townships that we represent.
Okay, thank you.
That's per year.
Other questions?
Mayor, I will say, I thought it was 2026. I couldn't read, now I realize there's a 4, it's 2024.
I think I read it as
You did say
2026.
26.
I can't read my own writing.
Okay. All right. But it is 1/1/2024. Move to approve with the emergency clause?
Second, including the emergency clause.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
23-233, amend SPD 1 guidelines for South Court Village. Mr. Dutton.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are amendments to South Court Village Special Planning District 1, or SPD 1. This was established in 1999 and includes 42 acres on the northwest corner of Worcester Pike and High Point Drive. So a special planning district includes 2 parts. One's a concept plan. For SBD 1, it's broken into 3 parts. A, which is neighborhood retail, B, which is office and services, and C, which is medium-density residential. So for this particular site, the medium-density residential is existing Ryan Homes condo development and MMHA housing, and then A and B are currently undeveloped. The proposed Acme grocery store is within A, and this is kind of the impetus for this amendment. The second part of these guidelines for SBD 1 are just development standard design guide regulations. So these are requirements that supersede the underlying zoning district. So in order to facilitate development of not only the Acme site, but the entire development, some changes have been proposed. So I'll just go through a few of them. One is the uses. So the existing uses are rather narrow and outdated. They include things like video stores. So the proposal just defaults the uses to our zoning code to complementary districts with some exceptions, such as car dealerships and adult uses aren't allowed, so there's some taken out of there. It simplifies it and it helps it with future changes. There's some changes made to signage, so generally a building can have a sign on each side facing a street. This is problematic with larger retail stores, so it allows 5 wall signs on the main grocery store, which is pretty typical. There are also some code reference corrections. Third is access to the site. So this site is adjacent to Worcester Pike / Route 3, High Point Drive, and then Mass Parkway is the cul-de-sac that comes around and back to the condos. So what this allows is an access point on Mass Parkway, which currently exists with the curb cut. For Worcester Pike, in reviewing the project, we found the entire right-of-way is actually outside the city. So ODOT has complete control over access to Worcester Pike or Route 3. So it recognizes that one access point is allowed on Worcester Pike at the discretion of ODOT. The third part of the access is on High Point Drive. The existing text only allowed one access point, and this has increased it to 3 to facilitate traffic not only to the Acme site, but to the outlots and other parts of the development. There were also some simplifications to the design standards, which were a little bit contradicting and confusing. It makes it a little bit easier to apply. The Planning Commission reviews amendments at their November 9th meeting and recommended approval. And they will also require a future public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on that? So, again, I don't think we take any action on this until after the public hearing. Would anybody have any comments on the changes? Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Andrew, for putting this together. On, let's see, what is it? C.2, status of uses, 1A, says, except for the following, one thing that catches my eye is motor vehicle filling stations. I know generally Acme doesn't have that, but are charging stations included in that?
What section are you in? I'm sorry.
I'm in, let's see, it's status of uses, C.2.
Mhm.
Okay, on my thing, it's page 11 of my packet. Under it, it's page 2 in the type. Principal
Yeah.
permitted uses, 1A.
So that would be for sub-district B, which is kind of set back from the road a little bit. It's the office district, can't have filling stations.
Okay.
So
all right.
the ones closer to High Point or Route 3 would be allowed to have a filling station, gas or electric.
Okay, gas or electric, okay, all right. Thank you.
And I know we have the developer here, or a representative for the developer, Mr. Albrecht. You have any comments or questions? If you could go to the back microphone so we can all hear.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Joe Albrecht. I'm the president of Albrecht Incorporated. Really, I'm here to answer any questions you might have from the developer's perspective.
No, I think the changes going through the planning commission, which Paul serves on, and the suggestions to clarify things that are no longer pertinent in today's times and make things in the flow easier makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the goal is to get the property developed the best we can for the best utilization of that parcel down on the south side of town. So, anybody have any questions? Mayor?
I just wanted to share with the council, I know Paul's aware because Councilman Shields and I both attended the Planning Commission meeting to speak in favor of it. But the 3 driveways on High Point are, first of all, because it's unknown yet. They've sent studies and information and traffic counts through a traffic engineer to ODOT, and it's just moving very slowly to try to get an answer. So the one driveway is almost lined up with Brookdale South, and that would feed the parcels that will later be developed along Route 3 there, because we know that ODOT will not permit them to have driveways into each of those. The next driveway, which is closer to the front of the building, it comes into the front of the building for the parking lot, but it's also has a loop for pickup at the pharmacy. So it's very convenient to come in and get the prescriptions without having to come through the whole parking lot. And then the third driveway, which is furthest west, is actually an exit point for the commercial trucks. It's designed for the commercial trucks to come in on Mass Parkway behind the back of the building, back into the loading docks, and there's not enough room to get them back around to Mass Parkway, so then to exit onto High Point and go out at the light. And I just wanted to thank Acme. I know that Andrew and Kimberly and I have been inviting and working with them for a number of years, trying to get this project on the front burner. and we're very appreciative and thankful for the investment that they're looking at putting here in Medina.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, thanks for the information, and next thing will be schedule a public hearing. Would that be the next council meeting we're going to do the public hearing?
I believe it'll be in January due to the notification requirement.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda is 23-234, approval of Medina Rec sponsorship banner. Mr. Worley?
Thank you, Mr. President. This request is to just approve the various banners that were attached to be hung in the field house for the duration of our youth basketball season. This is a little bit different than the banners that were approved several years ago that were all throughout the facility. This particular sponsorship is a mutually exclusive program that helps offset our league costs. So these logos will also be on the shirts that are distributed to the kids participating in the league. The one that you can hardly read says Ferguson, and it's a plumbing company.
Any questions?
So Jansen, now we're going to have 10G technology?
I don't know, but that's what the banner says, so
Thought we just
safe
got
to
done-
guess.
It must be true.
Thought we just got done with 5G.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
I was gonna say, do you wanna pull out your flip phone there, Shred?
I would note the school board did also approve these on their last meeting on the 20th.
All right, okay.
Right, move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 23-235, state capital grant project request. Mr. Dutton?
Thank you. Yes, this is a request for the Community Development Department to file a 2024 state capital budget project request for $480,000. The purpose of this will be to construct a multi-use path that is Phase 1 of the Uptown Loop. As you're aware, we've been working on a multi-use path plan for the better part of a year. We're getting very close to adoption. It's actually going to the Planning Commission at their next meeting for their review. There are 17 sections broken down in this plan, which we've evaluated. This Uptown Loop was one that scored very high, had a lot of public support. There's a nice connectivity element. We're trying to bring down the existing path on Pearl Road and North Court to the park path on Champion Creek. So this will kind of bridge those two. This will start that connection there. But the reason this was chosen and brought through now is number one, that this state capital budget grant was recently made to our attention, and it is due on December 18th, so we have a short time span. Also, this path where we're adjacent to the road doesn't have as many funding opportunities as, say, one that goes through a park. So it was a good fit for this particular application. So consulting with our consultant for the project, Envision, they recommended we take this path forward and are confident that we have a good application. Thank you.
Thank you. It appears there's no local match, right? This is fully funded grant?
It can be. From my understanding, it's a little bit of a negotiation. You ask for what you want to ask for, and they award you what they think you deserve. So there may or may not be a match.
We should ask for more.
I was thinking the same thing.
And we do have in your packet the map of it, and then the breakdown of the costs. So this is all very good for the application.
Okay.
Honestly, the plan gets in a lot more detail than I was expecting, and it really helps with these kinds of applications.
Good. Good. Mayor?
In the past, the capital grants are generally about 50%. I don't think they require the 50%, but we're in competition with other people for a limited pot of the capital grants. So generally, if we say we can do a $480,000 project and it costs the state $240 of that, that might lift us up above some of the other people. And the only other thing I wanted to share was the Envision Group felt that of all of the different opportunities, this would get the most public exposure, immediately being adjacent to the square. Most of the buildings, save for a couple, are government-owned buildings that have adequate right-of-way, so there's not right-of-way acquisition. And basically, it's the west sidewalk, just expanding it to the trail the trail length, or width, I should say, and one of the cheapest ones we can do, because really it's just the cost of construction, removal and construction versus land acquisition on top of that.
Any other questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause?
Second, including the emergency clause?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else to come before finance? All right, we're adjourned to council.